Today, and tomorrow I guess, I'm going to be taking on a 24-hour readathon challenge, and this time, I am not going to fall asleep. At least I'm going to try not to fall asleep. How about this? I'm going to put a better effort towards not falling asleep than I did in my previous readathon challenges. So, as you can probably guess from those not falling asleep comments, this is going to be a straight 24-hour reading challenge. At no point am I going to stop the timer. I want to see how many books I can read in 24 hours. Now, this 24-hour readathon is actually going to be this month's entry for my monthly indie book review series. Now, for this entry in particular, I'll be trying to read as many indie sci-fi books as I possibly can. As this is a book review series, after I read each book in this challenge, I will be giving a thorough review. And after hearing my review, if you want to check out any of these books, they'll be linked in the description below. Also, all these books will be available on Kindle Unlimited. If you have any sci-fi or fantasy indie book recommendations for next month's indie book review series, be sure to let me know in the comments. FYI, it can be your book. Now, with that being said, it's almost 5 p.m. already, so let's get this timer started so we can actually get reading. I should probably introduce what book I'll be reading first before I get right into reading. The first book I'll be reading for this readathon is Rule of Extinction by Geoff Jones. I'm not gonna lie, when I first saw this name, I thought it was pronounced Geoff Jones, but apparently after doing some Google searching, it is Jeff. I genuinely never knew you could spell Jeff with a G. Anyway, the way I pick the books I read for this series is people recommend them on Threads, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, although really there have not been that many recommendations on YouTube yet, so if you have any indie book recommendations, again, be sure to leave them in the comments. This one was recommended to me by Geoff Jones himself on Threads, and it really caught my eyes. The blurb basically says it's about an impending asteroid apocalypse where pods drop down on the Earth to save humans, and that's definitely a really interesting concept. I've written several short stories about an impending asteroid strike before, and my current work in progress is a book about an impending nuclear apocalypse, so clearly this is something that definitely interests me a lot. I think it's definitely good to read books about topics that you're interested in writing in, so I'm really excited for reading this book. With that being said, I'm wasting valuable time right now. I'm gonna get actually started reading. Hopefully I can read this within the first 7 hours. I think that'll really set me up well to read at least 3 books in this challenge. We'll see how it goes. So it's almost 2 a.m. and I'm about 62% done with Rule of Extinction, and let me tell you, I'm really glad that I picked this book because I'm really enjoying it so far. That being said, after sitting in bed and reading for so long, my reading pace is absolutely tanking, so I'm gonna take some time to actually go downstairs and make some food. I've been so preoccupied with reading that I've completely forgotten to eat food, so I think it's definitely a good idea for me to go downstairs right now and get something to eat. Those ground turkey tacos were pretty good. Now, after I finished eating, I did spend some extra time watching more videos on YouTube. I'd like to say that was me giving my brain a chance to recharge, but in reality, I just ended up going into a procrastination loop. It is now 3 a.m. I have a little under 14 hours remaining in this challenge, and I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna shut the lights off, but really try to read overnight. I'm not gonna go to sleep. I promise I am not gonna go to sleep. I'm just shutting the lights off, but I'm gonna keep on reading. I just can't fall asleep in another readathon video. I am so tired right now. So I just read Rule of Extinction by Geoff Jones, and don't let my tired appearance fool you. This was a really good book. I really enjoyed this read. For the sake of the challenge, it probably would have been better if I read this a little bit faster, but I'm glad I took my time to really enjoy this story. Now, first of all, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. That way you can check out the book for yourself. The whole premise of pods coming down onto the Earth before a comet strikes the planet is really intriguing, and this book handles it really well. The pacing is also really strong in this book, with there being solid action from start to finish, but where I felt like the book really shined was how all the characters interacted. This book does a really good job of depicting all the complexities that happen when people with different opinions have to work together. A lot of the conflict in this story is driven from flaws within the characters. This book also has a really interesting mystery element to it, and throughout the story, you're trying to figure out what's going on at the same time as the characters, which I really enjoy, to kind of read the characters' different theories and kind of have my own thoughts before we get more answers. Although at the end of the book, there is definitely more answers I need to know. I will definitely be reading this series moving forward. I believe the next book in the Preservation of Species series is coming out this June, So I am definitely looking forward to that. Also, I completely forgot to mention, if you're a fan of prehistoric animals, you are going to love this book. I gave it a 5-star rating on Amazon, well deserved. Now for my indie book review series rating system, it's a 10-star system. It is a lot more strict than a 5-star system. Most of the books I'm reading in this series, I typically would give 5 stars unless I clarify that I would give something else. And for this book, I'm definitely going to give 8.2 stars, which is a very good score. I'm actually not sure. I think that's the second best score I've given so far. Now, I only have 6 hours left in this 24-hour reading challenge. It took me a bit longer to read this book. I also got distracted here and there, trying to give myself some breaks because I was feeling a little worn out. I do find it a little bit embarrassing when I do these reading challenges and my end result of how many books I read is a little bit lame. With 6 hours left, it's really looking like I'm only going to be reading 2 books for this challenge. And you know what? I'm going to try not to get too down about that. You know, it would be nice to have 3 or 4 read in 24 hours. But you know what? It honestly just feels good to say I read a book in a day. That's really one of my only downsides of these challenge videos. I absolutely love to make these challenge videos. It's some of my favorite videos to make. However, sometimes I feel myself pushing myself too hard. I shouldn't be ashamed that I'm only going to end up reading 2 books in 24 hours. That's nothing to be ashamed of. Some people don't even read 2 books in a year, and while that's kind of alarming to think about, it goes to show that reading 2 books in 24 hours is an accomplishment. Now, if I don't finish the second book within the 24 hours, I'm still going to finish it and give a full review for this video. However, before I pick my next book to read, I'm definitely going to take a shower to wake myself up a little bit. I am feeling pretty tired. I'm also probably going to go outside to take a walk because I've been sitting around my room reading for the past 18 hours. And then I'm probably also going to pick up some energy drinks. That way I have a little more energy to really push through the last few hours of this challenge. I'm obviously still tired, but I already feel so much better. I'm obviously still feeling pretty exhausted, but I think I'm ready to get back to reading for this readathon. And next up, I'll be reading The Fall of Titan by H.G. Ahedi. Now, I know a lot less about this book than the first book I read for this challenge. I found out about this book on Threads. Somebody recommended it to me. That being said, I'm not going to bother reading the back of the cover to kind of give you a gist of what it's about. Instead, I'm just going to read the book, and then in my review, I'll tell you more about what it's about. Now, Kindle says I can read this book in about 4 hours. We'll see about that. At this point, I'm definitely pretty exhausted, and my reading pace is definitely slower than it normally would be. I don't think I'm a fast reader to begin with, but I have an energy drink here, and I'm going to give it my best shot. This tastes like candy. 200 milligrams of caffeine, 0 artificial colors, 0 sugar. I don't even want to know what's in this thing. I mean, if it's helping me read, it has to be good for me, right? I cannot begin to express to you how tired I am right now. I was nodding off a bit at the end there. That's nothing against The Fall of Titan. That just shows how tired I am after basically reading for 24 hours. Even though I haven't been reading for all 24 of those hours, I have been up for all those hours, and I am definitely feeling it. The 24-hour challenge is officially over, and I've read 62% of The Fall of Titan. I will say I'm definitely enjoying it so far. My original plan was to finish it tonight, just stay up a few extra hours, and finish it so I can just give a review now. However, at this point, I feel like I'm really falling asleep a lot, and I don't think it'd be fair to the book to kind of review it when I'm not really retaining all of it. So I am going to go to sleep and then finish it up tomorrow. I'm literally going to turn this camera off and dive right into bed. I guess for this 24-hour reading challenge, I ended up reading 1.6 books. I really don't know what I was thinking when I was talking about maybe potentially reading 4. There is absolutely no way that was going to happen. Anyway, my thoughts are complete mush at this point. I'm barely able to keep my eyes open, so I'm just going to get some sleep, and we will talk about The Fall of Titan tomorrow. I can already tell I'm going to end up waking up in the middle of the afternoon. I might not look like it right now, but I promise you I actually do enjoy these 24-hour reading challenges. That is why I do them. I do often regret them when I get to hour 16. From 16 to 24, I genuinely regret them, but I do enjoy these challenges. Maybe next time we'll do one of those hybrid readathons where you read for 12 hours, you sleep, and then you read for another 12 hours.
I'm like falling asleep in front of the camera.
Good night. After getting some much needed sleep, I finally finished reading The Fall of Titan by H.G. Ahedi, and I'm going to share my thoughts on it now. This book is about a massive space station called Titan and its crew as they encounter some mysterious aliens. One of the main storylines in this book is a scientist kind of going through their ancestors' old journals to try to discover a device that most people think is mythical. There are also a couple other interesting subplots as well, and they do kind of come together pretty well at the end of the story. That being said, I do feel like this book did have some flaws. Without giving too much away, I feel like there were some aspects of this story that could have been better developed. Also, especially as we got closer to the end, it felt like the story was a bit rushed. That being said, if you're into space operas, I definitely think you will enjoy The Fall of Titan. Despite some of its flaws, I really like the direction that I think the series is going. For my rating, I'm going to end up giving it a 6.2. Now, even though I have gotten a good night's sleep after that 24-hour readathon, I'm still feeling pretty exhausted, so I'm going to wrap this up. Let me know what indie books you'd like to see me read in next month's episode. Because I went all sci-fi this month, I think I'm going to go all fantasy next month. I'm also considering maybe doing a 7-day reading challenge instead of a 24-hour one. That being said, let me know what you think in the comments below. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching. Now I'm going to go back to bed.